So I was dithering forever about what to pick to read tonight. What would be timely, what would be interesting, what would be succinct. With the hashtag #MeToo movement steamrolling across the country and naming just the vast amount of mostly female experience of sexual assault, and in its wake, many powerful men falling from glory. The obvious thing to read would be a chapter entitled "Sex Fiends, Jian Gomeshi, My Rooster, and Me." But because I'm a coward, we're not going to do that. And because Mom and Dad are here, and Mom-in-law and Dad-in-law, moreover. I thought because the publication of the book got pushed back far enough that we're now kind of in the full brunt of what we now call the season, I thought about reading the opening of a chapter entitled Capitalismus. But there's an F sharp in there, and Kurt Armstrong really loves it when I drop the F-bombs, but I wasn't sure if everyone here would share his enthusiasm. And again, Mom and Dad and Mom-in-law and Dad-in-law. So we're going to play it safe, and I'll read a little something about the apocalypse. Just before we get into that, just to set this up a little bit, one of the questions that I've struggled with has been how to make sense of the indisputable fact that a faith that arose in the name of a crucified one, crucified by empire, how that faith could become handmaiden to an imperial juggernaut that has been and in many ways continues to be just more invasive and world-dominating than anything else. How did a religion of liberation become a liberation of just such effective and worldwide subjugation? And obviously the conversation with indigenous folks who surprisingly also claim this faith is a significant part of the book. Anyway, I found in, maybe just to name one way in which this book is maybe a little bit different than the kinds of progressive Christian things that you maybe are used to reading. There's a lot of great stuff being written right now in terms of giving us a fresh reading of the Bible in a way that can speak to our cultural moment. That's not what this is. This, I hope, is a fresh reading of our culture in the light of the gospel. And Gerard and Illich, for me, are both have been so life-changing because they helped me see my culture and make sense of it and orient in it in a very disorienting time. And so that question is what brings me to this particular point in the book. I'll take one more sip. Illich argues that first the church, and after it modern institutions, succumbed to the hubris of believing that man can do what God cannot, namely manipulate others into their own salvation. This hubris is at the root of the church's evils. which disillusioned moderns can rehearse so well. The sins of patriarchy, of violent colonial proselytization, the attempts at total cultural control. All of these ills were undergirded by this belief that Christ's everlasting kingdom of justice, love, and peace could be brought about through conventional power politics. The trouble, Illich argues, is not with the kingdom of heaven, but with the idea that human beings can be induced into it by force. This is quite clear to us by now when we recall the abominable attempts to torture medieval citizens into right belief, but apparently not at all so clear when we consider, say, modern attempts to bomb foreign lands into freedom and democracy. Corruptio optimi quae est pessima is Illich's formula. The corruption of the best is the worst. Girard is at pains to show that the triumph of the cross, rightly understood, can never become a chauvinist triumphalism. Illich, with his formula, shows that the triumph of the cross, easily misunderstood, becomes the most chauvinist, most demonic triumphalism of all. Our faith in much of what we once believed is shaken or gone altogether. But this does not mean that we live in a post-Christian world. Rather, it is an apocalyptic world. Apocalypse, as both Illich and Girard point out, literally means a revealing. And as the apocalyptic literature of the New Testament suggests, a revealing that is highly destabilizing to the present order. We are living in times both more revealing and more unstable than they have ever been. In this sense, Illich believes, not triumphally, but fearfully, that we are living in, quote, the most obviously Christian epoch, which might be quite close to the end of the world, end quote. The gospel contains a conception of human life, not a theology, says Simone Weil. She explains, if I light an electric torch at night out of doors, I don't judge its power by looking at the bulb, but by seeing how many things it lights up. The brightness of a source of light is appreciated by the illumination it projects on non-luminous objects. The value of a religious, or more generally spiritual way of life is appreciated by the amount of illumination thrown upon things of this world. Earthly things are the criterion of spiritual things. While I know that Christianity has become an anathema to many, and for many good reasons, I see things around me that I could not see otherwise because of the gospel. To Christians, I offer this collection of essays as an encouragement to see how far out ahead of us Jesus has gone into the world, working in mysterious ways. As his disciples, many of our teachers will have to be those who followed Jesus out of the church and into the world some time ago, who could no longer abide the narrowness of our love and the hypocrisy of our codes. Some will come from other traditions altogether and have their own ancient wisdom to bring to bear. A new attentiveness to these outside perspectives is not a no to our beloved Jesus, but a more profound yes. To non-Christian readers, I offer this book not as a set of directions, but as a map of where you are. There are other maps, to be sure, highlighting other topographical features. My aim is not to be exhaustive, but helpfully accurate. But helpfully accurate about real aspects of our shared terrain. I hope I can speak as a Christian about contemporary culture in terms that are at least recognizable to others, rather than offering spiritual gobbledygook. We don't have time for that. There are real treasures and real pitfalls to mark out here. Christianity, as a historical vector, is a cause of much that is good, even great, about our age. But it is also a cause of much that is less good, even dangerous and destructive, to paraphrase Charles Taylor's foreword to Illich's final opus. Something new entered the world with Christianity, a new kind of freedom and a new kind of danger. Illich would even say evil. Whether or not we celebrate this freedom as Christian or discern this danger in religious terms, we need to understand it. If we do, both Illich and Girard suggest that we will become aware, anthropologically and historically, of what a strange place we are in. A moment that is all at once revealing and bewildering, expectant and apocalyptic, opening wide the gates to both to endless war and to abiding peace. It is a place to tread carefully, with eyes wide open. If we walk attentively here, we might even find the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Quick now, here, now, always. A condition of complete simplicity, costing not less than everything. And all shall be well, and all manner of thing shall be well. If we can hold ourselves open to the strange signs of our times, we might just discover, as T.S. Eliot perceived, that in this odd place, the distance between here, now, and the eternal is not more than a comma's breath.